What's up guys, welcome to a guide for the new boss, the Gate of Elidinis. In this video I'm going to show you how to get through consistent kills, and we're probably looking at around about 3-minute kills to like just slightly over or whatever. It depends on your gear and a bit of practice and a little bit of luck as well. Now this is a day 1 guide, and so we're probably going to learn some stuff over the coming days and stuff. So if there's a big update or change that can like improve kills a hell of a lot, then I will definitely make an updated guide for this. But this is for day 1 to help people get through, get some kills done, and hopefully get some drops and make some money. So with that being said, this is how I take on the new boss. So first of all, you can do this at any combat level whatsoever because it scales down to your HP in terms of damage that you receive. It's percentage based, so you can go in if you are a skiller as well. As for the skills that will be used in the actual fight, you'll use agility, construction, crafting, divination, and mining. The higher you have in these skills, probably the better off you're going to be. Okay, so for gear setup, what I am personally using, and I don't have best in slot by any means, is I'm using a magic golem outfit, the full outfit, as this is going to give me an increase to critical mining chance when mining the rocks. I'm also using a Tagger's core hammer, which again is going to increase my critical strike chance and damage. This is pretty expensive right now, but if you can get your hands on one, then it is definitely worth bringing along. I'm using a whip that has mobile on it. You can put mobile on anything though, whether you want to put it on like anything, any main hand weapon. It doesn't matter what you use. This is just there so that I can use like dive or bladed dive or surge a lot more than if I didn't have it. I'm using a primal pickaxe +5, but of course just bring the best pickaxe that you can. Mine's not augmented, but any perks you can get to increase your mining efficiency will of course be worth it. And of course that's going to be on a pickaxe that can actually be augmented, as this one can't. I'm using a mining cape. I don't actually know if this works. I'll be honest, I don't know if the chance of getting double ores works. It says on core rocks, so probably not. Honestly, it doesn't really matter at that point if not, but someone can confirm for me. And then I'm using a rock crushing scrimshaw as well. What the rock crushing scrimshaw is going to do is it will allow me to get an extra 2% critical chance when mining. It all just adds up. Finally, I'm using the legendary Quarry Master Aura. The Quarry Master Aura increases your critical hit chance by 10%. So having any of this aura at all will be super useful. This is loyalty points, unfortunately, so it is a pain in the ass. It is what it is, I guess, but if you can access this, then definitely use it. It's also worth mentioning that I am using a Beast of Burden. I'm using a Pack Mammoth, but a Pack Yak will be just fine as well, or whatever Beast of Burden you can use. As for the other slots in my thing, I'm using a Grace of the Elves because you can still get these Seren Spirits, so you can click those as you're doing this. And then finally, I am using a Zamaragul's Nexus or any Nexus because you will want to use Barricade during this fight. If you don't have a Nexus, then you can just bring along a shield and just use Barricade with any shield that you have. In my inventory, I have my Enhanced Excalibur, I have a Power Burst of Acceleration, and I have a Super Restore Flask, and then I am using Selfish Soup, whatever food you want to use, just something that brings up your health quickly. I'm using Selfish Soups, but I will definitely change these soon. And I'm bringing about 12 to 15 of these. You can definitely drop it down to probably about 10 to 12, but bring more than you need at the beginning, so like 15, and then slowly reduce them as you see you have leftovers. Other than that, you're pretty much ready to go. Now, another really important part of this fight is knowing what tick perfect mining is. When you use mining, you will have an endurance bar, and you want to keep this up. Now, the way tick perfect mining works is when you first hit a rock, you'll see green sparks come off of that rock, meaning that now is the time for you to click on it again and allow your character to constantly have the highest endurance. This is so that like active mining is rewarded instead of just being AFK. You want to use this in that fight, so whenever you see the green sparks come off the rocks when you first click on them, click them again and keep doing this every time you hit the rock to make sure that you are mining at the top efficiency that you can. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to cover a few of the mechanics and then we'll go through the fight. That way you know what I'm talking about as we go through. So first of all, to actually get here, you're going to want to be at War's Retreat and head through the new boss portal. Of course, everyone has access to this. Whenever a new boss is released, you can go directly there through this. Once you're here, you'll go through the little white beam on the right hand side and enter the boss arena. The fight won't start straight away. Okay, so things that you need to know. One, on the left-hand side at the start of the fight, there's going to be a place that you can mine moonstones or moon shards, and you're going to want to get probably just like, I get 20 of these, but I think you only probably need like a few. I get 20 though. What you're going to want to do with this is click on Eclisped and then start mining them, and then you want to get into position, which I'll talk about once we go through the actual kill. Now, there's a barrier down the middle of the arena. I completely ignore this right now because as far as I know, there's no point in actually dealing with this, at least not in the method that I'm going to show you. Again, this is day one, so this could change. Another thing to note is Eclisped will give you an extra action button, which will allow him to delay the boss's mechanics completely. It stops the boss healing as well, and you can use this at any time during the fight as long as it is off cooldown. I use this twice, once near the beginning and then once right at the end to finish the kill. This will spawn pillars in the middle of the room, and normally the way the mechanic is intended to is you will click on them, you will jump to the top of the pillars and then jump on the boss and deal extra damage. You'll use this as your final blow, but you'll also use this at some point to delay the mechanics of the boss as well. We'll talk about that again as we get there. The mechanics in the fight are all telegraphed in terms of the damage that you're going to take, so you don't have to worry about like understanding how they work. It's pretty straightforward. You see a blue square on the floor, you avoid it. It's probably also worth mentioning that when you do dodge one of the big square AoE marks on the ground, the telegraph ones, you will have dive reset. So whenever these show up, just dive out of them, and once the mechanic is finished, your dive will automatically be reset for you, meaning you can dodge the next lot as well. So I'd suggest saving dive for when these do happen. At some point during the fight as well, the boss will summon a little dog thing, whatever it's called. You want to use your moonstones to actually get rid of this. So just click on it a couple of times until it's dead, and that way you'll throw the moonstones at it and deal damage and it'll disappear. Keep an eye out for this as it will heal the boss rapidly. Another thing to note, it's also important to note that if you do take damage from any of the mechanics during the fight, you will be healing the boss as well, so this makes it a little bit more difficult. So you will have to practice a little bit over time by making sure you are dodging mechanics and not taking that extra damage, because if you do take extra damage, you will have to make sure you have more damage to actually kill the boss. This will just come with practice and time. And the only other mechanic that really needs mentioning separately is you'll see the boss will like draw energy from the arena, like beams of damage will go towards them. You'll be able to see this on screen now. And then following that, you will have a single like bit of energy thrown towards your character. This is going to do a big amount of damage, about 60% of your max health, I do believe. I take about 6k, so that's what I expect. So just make sure you are on either full health or you're above that damage hit once it does hit you. But we will just be tanking this. Okay, so with those main mechanics covered, let's talk through an actual run. Okay, so the goal of my method so far is head on the other side of the barrier, and there's going to be 4 rocks down here every time. You want to clear these 4 rocks, and then you use the pillar mechanic and do the final blow. This will give you enough damage every single time to just completely finish the boss off, and I don't do anything with repairing the barrier on the other side of the barrier. I purely just get rid of these 4 rocks and then kill the boss. Keeps it nice and simple, and we're going to deal with the other stuff as we go along. Okay, so the way I do this, start the fight by moving over to the actual moonstone pile, and then start by clicking on Eclisped. This way you can turn around and immediately get about 20 moonstones. By this point, I just surge and bladed dive over to where you can see that I am starting here. The reason I start here is it's going to place me directly next to one of the falling rocks so that I can start transmuting it straight away. When the rocks fall, they will be corrupted. You want to transmute them to make them able to be mined. Once they're able to be mined, you'll gather the ores, and the ores is what lets you deal the damage to the boss. So as soon as this falls down, start transmuting it, and you're going to pretty much straight away have boss mechanics thrown at you from just little square tiles on the floor. Just walk over to the other rock and start transmuting this to move out of the actual mechanic, and then move back to the other one to dodge this until you see 3 of these happen. After the third one, I like to press the extra action button. This just delays any more mechanics from the boss. This just frees me up a little bit to focus on getting these done and a bit of progress without having to move. At the moment during this time, I actually choose to transmute both of the ores, but this may change again as this is a day 1 guide, so we'll see what happens. However, it's worth noting that when you press the extra action button, the pillars are going to spawn in the middle of the room. We're going to ignore them this time. However, what we're going to have to do is when the pillars disappear, after a little bit of time, they expire. Once the last one disappears, you want to be using barricade. The reason being is you're about to take a big hit that will kill you if you don't. So once the pillars disappear, throw out your barricade and let the hit just hit you. You'll be fine. And now your goal is to just focus on mining all the ores. Now it's worth mentioning here that on your first time around, you're going to want to keybind one of these ores on your action bar somewhere. This will allow you to place those ores in your Beast of Burden. If you don't do this, you have to drag them across or do some other stuff. Just keybind it on your action bar. It will store them in your Beast of Burden for you. It's also important to mention that you don't want to allow your inventory to get close to filling up, because if you only have one space left in your inventory when you mine one of the rocks, you'll only be given one ore instead of like 2 or 3 or whatever you get, and then you're going to be missing out on damage, as it does seem like one of those ores are deleted. So make sure you're constantly transferring these to your Beast of Burden. Now, while you are working on these 2 rocks, you will get mechanics that you will have to dodge, whether this is all telegraph stuff on the floor or the one where he will draw the energy from across the room and then throw the big hit to you. Now, while you're getting used to actually spotting this mechanic, just keep your health on full, pretty much. Just keep it high. You've got the food for it. Just keep your health high or above 60% and you'll be okay. But if you see this coming, just eat some food and make sure you can tank it. Friendly reminder here to make sure you're using tick perfect mining so that you're keeping this damage up and getting the ores as quick as possible. Okay, so once you've cleared the 2 rocks on this side of the room while dealing with mechanics, just head directly over to the other side. Now, during this time is when the dog's going to spawn at some point. Make sure you clear that off as quick as you can. And again, you're just doing the exact same thing. You are just transmuting the ores and then trying to mine them while dealing with the mechanics. The easiest way to just explain it is to say dealing with mechanics, because they're all telegraphed. So like, there's not a whole lot more for you to know. This time though, do not use the Icdalin's pillar mechanic to delay anything. Just leave it, you need this soon. Again, making sure not to overfill your inventory with ores, making sure to transfer them all over to your Beast of Burden. Once you've finished clearing both of the rocks off on this side, all you're going to want to do is either just as you're about to get the last rock from the actual ores, or once you've done, click Icdalin's action button so that he does the pillars and head towards the middle of the room. Now, as soon as these pillars appear, you need to be moving up them, because the faster you do these, the more bonus damage you're going to get. So you want to do this as fast as you can to get a total of 25% extra damage. So stay near the middle of the room. As soon as the pillars appear, just click, click, click all the way to the top as fast as you can, and then finally click on the boss. As long as you've mined all of the ores on this side of the room, you will have enough damage, and as long as you get the 25% bonus damage, you will have enough damage to finish off the boss on one of these hits. And there you go. The boss will be complete. Don't forget to loot the boss, and good luck with your drops. And there you go. There is a little bit of a day 1 guide for you guys to hopefully get you through some kills, and hopefully it does help you guys out. Now I'm going to go back to the boss now and work on my kill times a bit. I don't expect that I will struggle too much to get it down just a little, and hopefully we'll see some rare drops, and hopefully you guys will as well. Let me know what you guys think about the boss in the comments, but otherwise, enjoy, have fun, and good luck.